Welcome to WoW's Retails-Details. Today's divisive question, is raiding too exclusive? Let's dive into it. So, is navigating the raiding system in modern WoW a challenge that's too daunting for the average player to find joy in? Now, when we say joy, we're talking about the reasons players typically raid. Number 1, earning the best gear possible to power up their characters. It's like gearing up for battle, ensuring your hero is decked out in the finest loot Azeroth has to offer. Number 2, seeking a joyous social experience by hanging out with friends. Because what's better than defeating mighty foes with your closest allies? And number 3, craving a challenge to test their skills. It's not just about defeating a boss, it's about proving your mettle in the face of adversity by parsing higher than everybody else. One potential barrier to raiding that some players point to is the requirement for specific add-ons, considered by many in the raiding community to be essential tools. They are third-party mods that players can download and install, altering the base game experience. DBM acts as a crucial warning system for players entering a raid environment. It provides warnings and timers for boss abilities, helping players stay focused on the unfolding events. With colored raid warnings, icons, and concise messaging, DBM gives players additional information that usually isn't readily available in the standard game interface. Another notable add-on, Weak Auras, allows players to customize their UI by displaying graphics that indicate buffs, debuffs, and other relevant information. These add-ons, while appreciated by some, become a point of contention when discussing raiding exclusivity.
It's bad design that means players have to download and set up external tools to gain such a huge advantage in raids. I refuse to use an add-on or mess around with the headache that is setting them up.
Downloading and setting up add-ons is no different from reading a guide on how to play the game better. It's an external resource. You are dumb if you don't take advantage of it.
Add-ins like DBM and Weak Auras play the game for you. Using them to help you get through boss mechanics doesn't make you skilled in any way.
There is skill in setting up add-ons. It's just part of the game, like anything else. It's just like moving spells around on your action bars. It's all about optimization.
They ruin immersion in the game, cluttering up my user interface with sparkles and flashing buttons. If I wanted to stare at buttons all day, I'd play Microsoft Excel.
Well, add-ons cover for the bad telegraphing of mechanics that the base game has. It shows you valuable information that the default user interface fails to do. If the game was designed better, add-ons wouldn't be needed.
Some argue that another hurdle in raiding is the gear disparity. The gap in item levels between difficulties is vast, creating a steep power curve for player characters as they progress from reaching the endgame level cap to obtaining best in-slot gear from mythic raiding. Take Classic WoW as an example, where you can begin raiding with basic questing green gear and eventually earn the best gear from the first raid tier. Achieving best in slot is a realistic goal, considering the absence of multiple raid difficulties. Pre-raid gearing is beneficial but not mandatory. Now shift to modern WoW and the landscape changes. Questing green gear is unusable, and an item level restriction locks you out of LFR raids. To prepare, players are compelled to engage in world content or heroic dungeons for pre-raid rare blue gear. However, the quality of this gear is often lacking, leading to the necessity of LFR participation to acquire the gear required for normal raiding. From there, the progression unfolds. Normal epic purple gear, heroic epic purple gear, and finally, mythic raiding for best in-slot mythic epic purple gear. The process is further complicated by the significant RNG factor in gear drops, coupled with time-gated weekly loot drops. The question looms, is the journey to best in-slot gear a test of skill or a game of chance and being in the right place at the right time?
Too many stages of gearing mean it's difficult to achieve best in slot. You have to gear up so many times.
The best players deserve to earn gear that allows them to obliterate challenges with ease. But less skilled players don't deserve that same power. They didn't earn it. No free handouts.
The crazy gear disparity gives some players an even greater advantage over others than they would otherwise have if equally geared.
The gear difference means you only remain on top if you can maintain your performance. You don't deserve to stay strong just because you managed to in the last raid tier.
Well, actually, some players use gear as a crutch when they would be on a similar level of performance as me, with less powerful gear.
You need the gear difference to ensure the smooth brain know their place, and to amplify and make obvious how much better skilled players are over unskilled players.
Having gear doesn't equate to skill. You can just buy raid carries with real money and get free loots. If anything, gear masks the lack of skill many players have. On the other hand, not being given gear through bad RNG equates to no raid invite, no matter your skill.
Gear differences help to keep the rabble out of high-difficulty raids, ensuring they are rejected so they don't ruin the fun for the skilled gamers.
Some argue that another hurdle in raiding is the sheer number of raid difficulties available. With LFR, normal, heroic, and mythic, the raiding community finds itself divided. For someone new to the game, the expectation is to navigate and progress through these multiple difficulties. If the goal is to achieve best-in-slot gear or engage with the most challenging PvE content, it requires a significant investment of time and effort just to get started.
You are locked out of raid difficulties because guilds are required. It's a flawed system because you can easily get stuck in with a normal raid guild. They'll never take a new raider for heroic progression over someone else. Or maybe I'll be benched because the power of the raid boss scales with the raid size.
Multiple raid difficulties mean bad players can't join raids with skilled players and waste the invaluable time of true gamers. They are sectioned off, as should be. Cut the wheat from the chaff.
Multiple raid difficulties mean players in a normal raiding guild don't want to raid heroic because they'd have to ditch their friends. The same applies to heroic raiding guilds with members wanting to do mythic raids. How is this good?
It gives all players a way to experience some form of raiding regardless of their skill level. You sound like an LFR Andy.
So many versions of the same piece of gear mean you have to get very good RNG to gear properly and be accepted into raids on the basis of item level alone. It's an unreasonable amount of luck to achieve best in slot. Check your privilege? Ugh, elitist raiders.
Yeah? Is that right? You're just mad 'cause bad.
As you've witnessed, much like the modern WoW community, our two friends have shared opposing opinions on this divisive topic. Now for a few closing questions for all modern WoW raiders. If you use add-ons like deadly boss mods or weak auras to give yourself more information than is provided by default, is that considered cheating? If not, how would you fare without access to these add-ons? If you are well geared, does the stamina on your gear allow you to get away with standing in the fire more than an ungeared player? Equally, do the high attributes on your powerful gear allow you to mask your skill level with raw damage parses? If not, have you tried raiding on an ungeared character with suboptimal secondary stats? If you have lots of disposable income to buy WoW tokens for carries, friends in higher places, or a spot in a raiding guild, does that make it easier for you to gear up and practice raid encounters? If not, have you tried earning a place in a random guild's raid group or tried pugging with an ungeared, no-achievements, broke-ass account? Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to this episode of WoW-Retails-Details. Today, we discussed the question, is raiding too exclusive? So, did you agree with Wozbo Chadrocket or Finkle What's-His-Face? Tell us why in the comments section below. Until next time.
If you want to help, please like this episode of WoW-Retails-Details. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content in the future. Tune in live at twitch.tv/ScorpRogue every other Monday to add your own ideas and opinions to the next video.